Ladies and gentlemen, today's date is the 4th of April, 2026. It's Saturday evening at 7:22 p.m. Let's talk Iran and the Persian Gulf and the horse pucky that is flying around thick and fast. We need to talk exactly what this war is about. It's not an accident. Nobody's in too deep. Nobody's confused. United States, the Pentagon Planning Office know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they're talking to, and they know exactly who they're winding up with their troll machine, Donald J. Trump. Everything is going perfectly. Doesn't mean it's wonderful in certain places of the world or you're worried about the price of fuel, obviously. But I am genuinely surprised it has gone on this long. Obviously, they have a plan and China is not in the bag. Again, this is not a war against Iran. This is a war against a globalist entity called Iran. Iran is not a sovereign entity. It never has been. The only Iranian nationalist who's ever ruled that country was Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The rest are straight out of Davos, baby. Straight out of Compton. Straight out of Davos. We need an Iranian nationalist. That's why Mahmoud Ahmadinejad must survive and eventually make a comeback. Iran will be brought to its knees. This is nothing to do with Israel. Bibi was running, Senor Milikowski, Mr. Netanyahu was running backwards and forwards, telling Donald Trump not to attack Iran. Not to attack Iran. That's their asset. That has been their weapon against the Sunni. If you didn't understand the hatred between Sunni and Shia, then you'll never understand what's really going on. You will never, ever get it. Netanyahu was on the record. He wouldn't help Trump with Soleimani.
Don't forget, I did have a bad experience with Israel, though. When we took out Soleimani, it was us and Israel working as a group. And we knew where he was. We knew how he was coming in. We knew the plane. We knew everything. We worked on it for weeks, for months, actually, but we worked on it for weeks. And the night before, I don't think this has ever been told. They'll say, oh, it's classified information. Well, maybe it is, but I don't think so. The night before this happened, and I said, what does this mean? We're working on it with them. Why? They didn't tell us why, sir, but they're not doing it. This was a day before. I said, I don't like that. That's not good. And he came onto the plane, and we followed him right from the Situation Room. We followed the whole thing, and about 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. But they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that, very disappointed, but we did the job ourselves, and it was absolute precision, magnificent, beautiful job.
Mr. Trump, has your relationship with the Prime Minister repaired at all?
It was never bad. I would say it was always good. No president has done what I've done for Israel. And we've always had a very good relationship. And if I didn't, I have a secret weapon. You know what it is? Sarah. You're sitting right over there. I have Sarah. As long as I have Sarah, that's all that matters.
Iran was begging America not to attack them.
Before you go too far, would have never happened with me. I had Iran in check. We hit them very hard for something that they did, and they had to hit back. They feel they have to do that, and I understand that. Do you know they called me to tell me we're going to hit a certain location, but we're not going to hit it. It's going to be outside of the perimeters.
Who called you?
Iran called me. Called for me. And they let us know, and we had 16 missiles went off. I believe it was 16. 6 or 7 failed in the air.
When was this?
This was prior to the attack on a fort that we had where they hit back. Do you remember when they sent 18 missiles or 16 missiles? 5 failed. They let us know, don't move. We're going to have to hit you back. Psychologically, we have to do that because we hit them on something. You remember. They sent 16 or 18 missiles, and we knew they weren't going to hit inside the fort. And the media was going, and now I reveal it, the media was going wild because they say it's strange. They're very accurate missiles. How come they all missed? nobody was killed, if you remember.
Yes,
with all of
I
those
do.
missiles, nobody was killed. Now, they had to do it because they have people and they have to show strength. So they aimed the missiles, but they said, please don't attack us. We're not going to hit you. That was respect. We had respect. When we took out Soleimani, you know, Israel was supposed to do it with us. 2 days before the takeout, they said, we can't do it. We can't do it. I said, what? We can't do it. Then I had a certain general who's great. I said, so, General, do we do it ourselves? He said, we can, sir. It's up to you. I said, we'll do it. But Israel was a part of it. You know, Bibi was a big part of it. And we had everything planned, everything, because what he has done is terrible. What he did to us was terrible. Killed so many of our soldiers. Killed so many people. He's the father of the roadside bomb. You know that, right? And Soleimani, we can't, it was just incredible.
And we need to just stop the garbage now. Iran has no secret missiles bringing down US aircraft. Assuming you believe that F-15 is even down, anyone's even missing, looks straight out of Wag the Dog. It really, really does. Regardless, we don't believe a word they say. They know exactly, if their pilot has been shot down, they know exactly where that pilot is. Exactly. I doubt it's even happened. But these are the times we live in. We just don't know anymore. We don't trust anything they say, and they're just keeping that news cycle ticking along. We all remember Jessica Lynch, all the lies. We remember Wag the Dog. We just don't believe anything they say anymore. So good luck with that one. The war is about IMEC. They are reshaping the Middle East for the benefit of the ODID Don plan, the Donro doctrine in the Middle East, which is to set up the IMEC, the India, Middle East, European corridor, as a replacement for the Belt and Road. Very simple. And we're going to go over all the news articles, all the big bases going into Israel, US bases. Everything's perfect. The Saudis are building pipelines to go up and do exactly the job they were always planning to do. This operation has been planned since at least December 2025, at least, and probably months before that. No one cares what the European Union says. No one cares what France says. They are doomed. Europe is absolutely doomed. And I mean doomed if it doesn't wake up to itself. But we'll see how these things all transpire, because there's just so much theatre. I mean, it's just endless theatre, endless trolling. But don't think for a single second Iran is this pious entity. It's got a little bit too much popularity with a lot of people. Way too much. I was there, you weren't. I saw the lie. Trying to get them to talk about Israel was almost impossible. Straight back onto Saudi, straight back onto Sunni Islam, and that's why I ended up leaving. Let's get into these articles. Netanyahu, only long-term solution for Hormuz crisis is rerouting pipes to Mediterranean. Long-term solutions include rerouting energy pipelines westward across Saudi Arabia to the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, bypassing Iran's geographic choke point, Netanyahu told Newsmax. Now, this is a very recent article. This is March 31, 2026, but this has been around for 3 years now. Prime Minister Netanyahu on Monday said that a long-term solution to the crisis would include the construction of pipelines that would carry the Gulf states' oil and gas to the Mediterranean. Okay, the India-Middle East corridor, you can see coming from India over to the UAE, right near the Hormuz Straits, and going there into Saudi Arabia. Pipeline goes up into the ports of Haifa in Israel, which Iran can't seem to hit the Intel fab, can't seem to hit a lot of the absolute critical infrastructure of Israel. It's trying its best, allegedly. Maybe we should all give it a cheer and a helping hand, because it just can't seem to do it. And that is IMEC. That's been planned since 2023, which is a very interesting time. Of course, 2023 is, of course, the time where TikTok was unleashed by the Chinese Communist Party, where the clean out of the Gaza Strip commenced when Hamas was given its orders by its money men to start killing Israelis, which would then justify the clean out of the Gaza Strip, ready for those giant US bases to go in, which will also handle the AI. This is pretty standard fare now. And as we get this one back up, long-term solutions include rerouting energy pipelines westward across Saudi Arabia, the Red Sea. Now, this is not new. This has been planned for at least 3 years. The real reason America is at war with Iran, from April 3rd, it goes into IMEC. Gulf states consider bypassing Strait of Hormuz with new oil pipelines via Haifa. The Financial Times reported that the Gulf states aim to create a new network of pipelines, roads and railways to stop relying on the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, how convenient. Iran a threat to IMEC and regional prosperity. Another Israeli spokesman. Yemen apologized for firing missiles at Israel. It doesn't want to die. And US tech park in Negev may have nuclear power plant. If you don't know, it's going to be a huge 4,000-acre high technology park where the US will be doing their massive AI, and it will be leased by the US and run by the United States. So under the Memorandum of Understanding, of which has reached globes, Israel will grant the US a 99-year lease on the land, although the area will remain under Israeli sovereignty. I mean, imagine them having to say that. Because they have to assure Israelis, oh no, we're not giving it away. You're basically going to be a protectorate, Israel. The US will literally own you. The day-to-day running will be by the US, which will provide most of the investment. US and Israeli technology companies will work side by side in the park with the aim of setting up global center for chip production, advanced computing and AI development, and they want to put a nuclear power plant. US considering plans to build large military base on Israel-Gaza border. Wow. Israel said set to invite US, this is March 29, to move some Middle East bases to the country and establish new ones. Wow, how very, very interesting. So that is why no one's confused except Tucker Carlson about, oh, this war, it's so confusing. Is Trump scared? And they keep, maybe, he's scared and World War III is starting, because that's Tucker Carlson's job, is he gets another apartment complex in Qatar with this small alt media channel called the Tucker Carlson Network, a very small, humble channel with 27, yes, I'm not making that number up, 27 permanent staff, 5 core members, including Rebecca Mercer as an investor of Cambridge Analytica fame and Steve Bannon, and of course Don Jr. is on the board. Wow, for someone attacking Trump, he's certainly close to the source as Trump takes him to the White House, lets him sit in on things, and if only Twompy knew, and trying to blame Bibi for everything. This is a pure US operation. Pure. End of story. End of story. But now we're starting to see good old tubby wubby Foreign Minister Javed Zarif making a comeback. Let's get him up now. How Iran should end the war, from Foreign Affairs. Thank you, Jalil. A deal Tehran could take, by Javed Zarif, April 3rd, 2026. My least favorite Iranian. He's an absolute globalist, World Economic Forum, absolutely in with Klaus, Kissinger, the works, that guy. John Kerry's his bestie. Now, here's what he writes. Iran did not start its war with the United States and Israel, but more than a month in, the Islamic Republic is clearly winning it. Oh, of course you are. Of course you are, Javed. Oh, jeez. American and Israeli forces have spent weeks incessantly bombing Iranian territory, killing thousands of people and damaging hundreds of buildings, all in hopes of toppling the country's government. No, they don't want to topple your government. They just want to kill as many of you as you can. Yet Iran has held the line and successfully defended its interests. It has maintained continuity of leadership because they haven't killed you. All right? You are the little hoe. I'm worried they're going to kill Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. It has maintained continuity of leadership, even if its top officials have been assassinated, and has repeatedly hit back at its aggressors, even as they strike at its military, civilian, and industrial facilities. The Americans and Israelis who started the conflict with delusions of forcing capitulation thus find themselves in a quagmire without an exit strategy. The Iranians, by contrast, have pulled off an historic feat of resistance. That's like saying you got in the ring with Muhammad Ali and you just got the crap beaten out of you. You're in the corner cowering, and you're saying, we have a victory. We have a victory. Go and read it yourself if you can stand it. And we go take the win. And as we go down, finally, Iran and the United States should announce and sign a permanent non-aggression pact. By doing so, they would commit to not use or threaten to use force against each other. Iran and the United States would then terminate the various terrorism-related designations they have affixed to each other. They would explore dispatching diplomats to serve in their respective interest sections, restoring consular services and removing travel restrictions on each other's citizens. No, you're never going to the United States, dude. This agreement will not be easy to make. Iranians will remain deeply skeptical of what Washington's intentions throughout negotiations. Trump and his officials, meanwhile, will continue to view Tehran with doubt. I mean, why would they doubt Tehran? China and Russia, probably along with some regional states, may have to provide guarantees to address these serious mutual concerns. Nobody cares about you, dude. This is about China and putting the EU in its place. Your friends at the EU. But this war, horrible as it is, has opened the door for a durable settlement because you were completely in on it. Iranians may be outraged, but they can push forward knowing that they stood tall in the face of a massive and illegal military onslaught by two nuclear-armed powers. US officials may still dislike the Islamic Republic, but they now realise that the government isn't going anywhere and that they will have to live alongside it. Emotions may be high and each side is boasting, but it's warfront victories. But history best remembers those who make peace. Good old Javed Zarif, the chocolate eclair monster at Davos. Best friends with John Kerry for 30 years. Let me assure you, if the US wanted to annihilate you, they would and they could. But here's the deal. When they settle everything down, at which point China's in the bag and there's a whole range of new deals have been done, when all of that has taken place, we should understand, of course, when they realised what was going to happen, the London central banker Carney and Keir Starmer started running around to China. The sudden influx of the new Jeffrey Epstein revelation, still more to go, came out at the same time because they knew this war was coming. They knew their asset, Iran, was going to be taken out, which would influence their other asset, China. And that's the big one. This was the last gasp, as you saw in previous videos, of this globalist City of London Rothschild central banking cartel. The last gasp. And everything's going splendiferously. Bibi had nothing to do with this. I'm being serious. This was a US operation and Bibi was running backwards and forth getting two things. Orders and also saying, can we just not take out Iran, please? How are we going to threaten the Sunni world with destruction from the Shia and get our Abraham Accords signed? So we'll see what comes of all of that. We still want Jared Kushner and Witkoff and the gang gone. We want Howard Lutnick and Chabad Lubavitch out, obviously. I guess Rome wasn't built in a day, but it makes you wonder sometimes, doesn't it? But I hope just this little taste explains the garbage. This has been planned for at least, 3 years, but in the last 6 months, I've been planning to do this. That was the timing of the last gasp at Davos. We either get a seat at the table or we're on the menu. They are on the menu and they just don't want to quite face the truth. Candace and her bisexual boyfriend and Tucker Carlson, of course, are just at it. Still can't tell me who did 9/11. Tucker says that, if only the CIA would release the files. Well, no, Chris Bollin's waiting. He wrote a book that explained it all, 2007, 2008, almost 20 years ago, but Tucker's a little slow. In fact, a lot of people have never heard of Chris Bollin. Our friend, Geopolitics, he's just got into him, never heard of Chris Bollin. So apparently I abused Lou Rockwell on Substack and he'd never heard of Chris Bollin. Don't ask me how that's possible, but he genuinely hadn't. And he got the book and was spun out. So slowly, God willing, we'll see Chris Bollin interviewed by a few people again. Hopefully, well, we hope so. But Candace can't tell us who did 9/11. She sends a one-liner to Laura Loomer. She has Phil Tawney on to discuss the Liberty, but won't talk about 9/11. All you have to do is get Chris Bollin on or watch Carl Cameron, Fox News. But why would Candace Owens do that? She's very busy on the let's solve the Charlie Kirk murder online. Who, was it with a candlestick in the library, solving the puzzle trick she's up to with the openly overt homosexual man she's taken on. It said that Candace likes white girls too, if you know what I mean, because she's such a devout Catholic. But the Catholic Mason Candace, of course, is in full swing. So the drama queens are at it. The planted limited hangouts are containing the herd so far. As for it's so hard to keep the Straits of Hormuz open, it's ridiculous. Listen, back in 1990, I'm reading books on AWACS over Iraq. And they are picking up and tracking individual vehicles traveling on roads, not just aircraft, vehicles traveling on roads from 280 miles. It is now 30 years on, and I assure you, their AWACS they have up now are tracking every single jet ski-sized target all over the Straits of Hormuz down into the valleys. All right, just stop this. America's confused and can't open the strait. It's absolute garbage. They have their surveillance, autonomous surveillance, 24/7, just going round and round and round. So why don't we stop this silly garbage? I mean, it's just silly. If you remember, Putin got a bit cocky and the Flamingo homemade Ukrainian cruise missiles took out his ports. I do believe it was St. Petersburg up on the Baltic port, and blew it to smithereens just to put Vladimir Putin back in his place. And this is where we sit. Tomorrow is our Lord and Saviour is nailed to a cross. Even if you're religious or not religious or whatever your faith is, I hope you can see, at least if you don't believe these things happen, I hope you see the symbology. Who hasn't felt nailed to a cross? Lord, my Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? Who hasn't felt that? But then, even through those trying times, even through the depths of despair, in 3 days, we may be born again. If you want to take it metaphorically, you take it that way. Please, in summing up, all of these people are globalist assets. Donald Trump started out as a globalist asset under the tutelage of Kissinger, with Kushner on board, Cambridge Analytica, good old Steve Bannon meeting with Alexander Dugin in Rome. Oh, there's no Russia collusion. Yeah, we beg to differ, the Russian-Israeli collusion. Don't we? Just read the Mueller report. I love it. They just keep poo-pooing the Mueller report. Mueller was this, Mueller was that. Mueller laid it all out in the Mueller report. Just go Control F, Israel, and knock yourself out. I guess might want to do a rehash of that. But here we sit. The globalist asset is being taken out. And I'm telling you, they are completely in on it. The Zarif types, and they have been hiding away nicely. They don't look terribly worried, do they? And the hit list has been completed. Now they're going to have that half-witted idiot, Tehran Timmy, the new, we have new weapons. They don't have any new weapons. They don't have any secret things to knock down aircraft. It's just garbage. Let me guess. The pilots were up there doing Snapchats and Instagrams for their parents, going, look at us flying over Iraq. They gave the finger to a goat herder. The goat herder turned out to be IRGC. Under his cloak was a manpad. And as they flew past, he put a manpad up their tailpipe. How about that? Or they collided with, because remember, they're always in 2 and 4 ship formations, those ground attack aircraft. They weren't alone. It's one of two things. The pilots have already been picked up, which is the most likely. They're already picked up. They're just keeping this and stringing it along. To think they can't find the pilot is garbage. They would have found him in 5 minutes flat. 5 minutes flat is a damned lie. Or it never happened at all, because we live in these post-truth times and we just don't know what to believe anymore. So we just pick the default, don't believe a word you say. Regardless, probably was shot down, probably were cocky, or they had a mid-air collision or something like that, and they got their ass handed to them. Is it any surprise? You have hundreds of aircraft in the air at the same time, thousands of sorties. The chances of an accident or a mechanical failure are pretty damn high. I mean, I can't believe they haven't lost more. Seriously. Either on a blue on blue mistake, friendly fire, or just mechanical failure. So really, as far as an operation goes, it's a huge success. I mean, it's a massive success. To see how it is reported so uniformly just shows you how deep the penetration truly goes. Truly. See, I got to put up with the Fox News garbage, but then I got to put up with even worse garbage. It's a disaster. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Why would you even say Trump is handling anything? Trump is talking on the phone with Sean Hannity, asking him what the polls are. He wouldn't have a clue what's going on. Thank God. The Pentagon is handling it all perfectly. People are dying. It's not nice. They keep using God and Jesus on their lips. I don't like it. But as far as it's a miracle that the civilian casualties haven't been far higher. And it's a testimony to the targeting and the laser-like focus of the weapon systems. It's actually quite incredible. Look, Iran has been slapped. They're so used to getting away with it. Now they're being slapped. You saw Iraq and Syria and Libya. You saw what they look like. Well, now it's time for Iran to get a taste. And they're not even getting a tenth of what Iraq got. Not even a tenth. So spare me. Stop thinking of Iran as your friendly neighborhood bulwark to Bibi. Iran will come out, has been working just like Hezbollah, just like Hamas, with Israel, all via the Swiss, German and French banks where they get all their money from, because the money people rule. Never forget that. The people with the money rule. They decide. And when they got sick of Ahmadinejad, when he was too much of an Iranian nationalist, when he started focusing in on things they didn't like, they called him Jewish, number one, and they collapsed the economy and enforced sanctions. And everyone blamed, Ahmadinejad destroyed the economy. Well, he didn't destroy the economy. It was destroyed by other people. And when they put their boy in, ROUHANI, 6 years in Scotland, doing his Sharia PhD, for crying out loud, hanging 1 degree of separation between him and Lord Jacob Rothschild via Lord Levi and Jack Straw. Zarif, 30 years in America, his 3 kids are all US citizens. I mean, come on. Oh, spare me. Spare me, please. This is wag the dog stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, the date is the 4th of April, 2026. It is 7:46 p.m. Central Standard Time, Mexico. I hope you're doing well, no matter your religion or lack thereof. I hope you find these times that you will find hope, that you will enjoy some time off, and you will please enjoy yourself and stop letting Tucker Carlson tell you World War III is going to start. He is doing it on purpose. Why? Because he's paid to do that. They're paid to keep up anxiety and misery. And with the anxiety, you can't think and you can't plan. And you've got people just pouring garbage out all over the internet, just pouring it out. They are clueless. They know nothing. Oh, Trump has lost Saudi Arabia to Ukraine. I mean, what does that even mean? What does it even mean? These people don't even care what they say, as long as they can say something, as long as the coffee mug sales keep going on. And don't forget, cyber is the real domain of power, and BB Twig Twampy coffee mugs and t-shirts will be coming soon. I find it very disheartening to see the complete lack of discourse, the complete lack of plenty of open source material for people to sit down and think and share ideas. It just doesn't happen. It's just a gigantic cesspool of garbage. It's not going to last. None of these people are going to last. There's going to be a reckoning with all their lives. Tucker, bless, what's going on? I'm so confused. And getting in, geopolitical pundit, Joe Rogan's buddies, Dave Smith, a real geopolitical expert, that guy. We should all listen to him. How about if Charlie Kirk was murdered by the same people investigating his murder? Because if you didn't notice, Tucker Carlson didn't look too worried. In fact, he looked positively happy on the World Wrestling Federation stage. And you wonder why people think that whole thing was faked? It's not beyond them to fake that whole thing. And he's alive somewhere. That's not impossible. I believe he's dead, but it's absolutely not. Put it this way, if Charlie Kirk is risen from the dead in an Ari Emanuel green screen AI show, then nothing will surprise me. Nothing. The levels of lies are ludicrous. And even with all this information and self-evident tomfoolery, the little furry, his little love messages, the silly rifle, the fact that Charlie Steel Neck stopped a 30-06, 3,000 foot per second gigantic moose hunting bullet. I mean, they're not even trying. But look, nothing's happening. Why? Because it doesn't become political. It's just gossip, and that's why you're allowed to talk online. Talk all day, because that's all you'll do, talk. But until you get into the Republican Party meetings, you're not going to change anything. Mary's been doing great stuff, so has Lee. Mary's just been plodding along, finding people who agree with her, making her flyers up. The flyers are always linked below. Anyone can do this stuff. Anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let them force you into just fear. They're going to do it. You've got to just switch off and say, that's enough. The point of optimal frustration. I don't believe this shit anymore. Just stop it. There's no Armageddon coming. There's no collapse of the world economy coming. It's just going to be fine. Will there be ups and downs? Yes. They've declared a state of emergency in my home state, Western Australia, for fuel. And they're prioritising the mining industry. So clearly they must think this is going to go on for a while. But if you must know, the fuel tanks there are full. I know people, my patrons, who deliver fuel for a living. Fuel tanks are full. Everywhere's full. There's still big ships coming on. There's a few months' worth of fuel. So if they truly believe they have to declare a state of emergency in my home state of Western Australia, which is a major supplier of raw materials, oil and gas, Northwest Shelf especially, and a lot of other stuff, gold, you name it. It's just one giant mine, Western Australia, some of the biggest in the world. But if they think with a few months fuel supply that what? You got to declare a state of emergency? Either they know they're bullshitting or they know something we don't know. The bottom line is somebody's going to bring down China and put it in its place. They're going to force the cards because China is not a sovereign entity. It is a son of the City of London. And Mark Carney doesn't seem to have got the memo. Keir Starmer doesn't seem to have got the memo. Macron doesn't seem to have gotten the memo. And it looks like it's going to have to hurt. And it'll hurt in Europe, especially in Europe. It'll hurt in some parts of Asia. But don't forget, the US has plenty of gas and plenty of oil. And in push comes to shove, so does Australia. And Australia is signing things left. The Northwest Gas Shelf in Australia is every bit as big as that giant Persian basin there. Every bit as big. It's huge reserves. I know people that planned, costed out all the infrastructure after the fields were mapped. They're 10, 20 times the size, they say. It's massive. It's the Northwest Gulf Project. And they will pick up an awful lot of the slack coming out of it. The purpose is to keep this going on and on. I urge you, rebel, go and have a few drinks, go and have a picnic. Please try and enjoy yourself. Please. Don't let Tucker Carlson, and it's time Tucker Carlson was, no one can expose him because anyone exposing him will never be seen. They've just got everything too cut off in a bubble. And I don't even believe his numbers anyway. I truly don't believe any of their numbers, any of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. This is a rather short one. I hope you are relaxing with your family. And I beg you, don't let the bastards get you down. Don't. Please. We'll talk again very, very soon. Hasaluga. Jumpalagi Jumpananti. Hold our fists. F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible, come true."
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about, nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.